Welcome to Monday, 17th day of February 2025. Well, it's going to be a common theme again that we've had over the last couple of months, and that's Pacific and Arctic kind of back and forth. Well, we're going to see really a good example of that, as it will be in many areas east of the divide and in the plains, all about Arctic conditions, while west of the Continental Divide, it'll be more about Pacific conditions. The area of bitter cold air we've been showing you over the last week is sliding slowly south-southwest, settling in out of south-central Canada into the northern plains, and then the cold air is going to back up to the Continental Divide over the course of the next 3 to 4 days. So that's going to lead to severe cold, severe wind chills, and snow out on the plains. The Dakotas, Nebraska, Montana, the extreme northeast and eastern side of Wyoming, and parts of northeastern Colorado, then into Kansas and Oklahoma and into Texas, that cold air will slide south. So this is mostly a plains event, but it is going to push up to the front range areas. The cold air will, as we get into the next few days. The interaction between the Arctic air on the plains and Pacific air coming on top will bring overrunning snow. We saw that last night for some of you in parts of the Nebraska, South Dakota, eastern Wyoming area last night with some accumulating snow and more snow over the mountains. And we're going to kind of see that come and go between now and probably through late Wednesday. Now, I'm not all bad news. There's going to be a reversal. There's going to be a big rebound in temperatures next week, really across the nation. So next week, we'll try to make up for this week with a reversal of fortune before we see the weather get busy again as we get into March. But by the time we get to the end of this week, Friday and the weekend, we will see this Arctic air ease and move out of the region. But we've got to get through the week ahead. So we're going to have more scenes like this in the cold and sun pillars and very cold Arctic conditions out on into the plains. Hey, the elk are moving around. Maybe they know something is up. When we take a look at where we're at with the watches and warnings and advisories for all different kinds of weather across the United States, it's a very busy map. All the way deep into Texas here, this is for cold weather advisories. So you can see the cold air is plunging south. The darker blue here is for basically severe cold advisories. The pink, the winter storm warnings, and the purple, the winter weather advisories. Also, I want to highlight these blue areas right here that are in Utah and Colorado. These blue areas are avalanche warnings, and avalanche danger, even though we don't have any avalanche warnings in Wyoming at the moment, that could change. But we've had a lot of snow in the high country here recently, and so we've got unstable snow up there. Skiers and snowmobilers, watch out for that. This is what the advisories look like for Wyoming, and expect these areas to probably fill in with some type of advisory for snow and cold here over the next 24 hours or so. But you can see mountain snow coming into the mountains, and then the severe cold and the advisories for severe cold out into the plains. When we take a look at the satellite imagery this morning, we'll put a P here for Pacific. There's a good plume of Pacific moisture headed eastward. This will continue to feed the mountains of the Pacific Northwest and the Rockies with more snow. Hard to see, but the Arctic air is up here. And if we take a look at a different way in the satellite imagery to sense temperature, you see these green areas right here. This satellite tool right here is to identify cloud tops, but the air is so cold on the ground up here in Saskatchewan and over into Manitoba and eastern Alberta that it's showing up like a high-level cirrus cloud. Extremely cold temperatures. So that blue showing the extent and the movement is to the south-southwest a bit over the course of the next couple of days. At the same time, Pacific air is heading eastward. So there's going to be a convergence there. And the 500 millibar chart shows that very, very well. By Wednesday morning, you can see the break off the tail comes back and moves south-southwest into the Dakotas there, pushing the Arctic air at the surface to the south-southwest, while a Pacific wave is going to feed moisture towards that Arctic air. And if you look at temperatures this morning, as of 5 a.m. this morning, these are temperatures in Fahrenheit. Look at the cold right here. Yikes. I mean, that is extremely cold. And you can see the single-digit temperatures are getting into northern Wyoming, into northern Nebraska here. You can see the lighter shade of red here starting to get pushed further south. But just along the divide here, we don't have the cold air backed in yet. So temperatures really aren't all that bad because of the Pacific influence. And you can see current conditions. This is as of 4 a.m. Mountain Time this morning. So you can look at the air temperatures. These are air temperatures. We've got 33 below up here. We've got 31 below here. We're just nasty, nasty cold up there in the Dakotas. And if you take a look at where we're going to be by tomorrow morning, you can see the gray is advancing further to the south and west into that purple there. Purple is going to give you those single digits. The gray is where you're going to be below zero. And you can see the heart of the cold remains up there, but is shifting a little bit more south and west. By Wednesday, overnight low temperatures get colder further to the west, to the south. So there's a westward push at first, then there's a southerly push later on. So you can see there will be areas out here that don't even have a remote chance right here of even getting above zero for probably 2 or 3 days. The higher terrain, higher elevations, the cold air isn't as deep, but is still pushing in on the fringes. These are the wind chill values by Wednesday morning. So we've got some minus 50s, almost a minus 60 right there. You can see wind chill values going sub-zero all the way into Texas, into Oklahoma there. And by Thursday morning, wind chill values are exceeding 30 to 40 below in central areas of Nebraska. Now, on top of this Arctic air mass, as you'll see in a minute, will be some snow from overrunning. These are the temperature anomalies by noon on Wednesday. And you can see the terrain really holding back the Arctic air, not getting west of the divide. So you folks west of the divide don't have to worry about the Arctic air. But out into the plains, yikes, just going to be brutal. Taking a look at low temperatures by Thursday morning. So you're going to have some, I would not be surprised if there's a couple of places in central Nebraska that approach minus 30. Could get close. It all depends on cloud cover. And that's one thing that's kind of going to keep the western edge here from getting too cold because of clouds due to Pacific air coming in. And here it is. The Pacific air is going to produce precipitation in the overrunning. We've seen this before, like somebody just takes a ruler and draws a line where the deeper Arctic air is overrun by Pacific moisture. And the overrunning of that moisture over the Arctic air is going to lead to widespread snow. A lot of areas in this particular location got snow overnight. And this area, it's going to pile up. It's not going to have high water content, but it's going to snow off and on for the next several days. And then Pacific moisture hitting the mountains, getting more snow into the high country. If we zoom in a little bit, you can see that between now and Thursday, nothing terribly heavy, but when you have air this cold overrun by this Pacific moisture, the snow stacks up a little bit deeper. So you can get more snow depth, even though you don't have a lot of water content. Nonetheless, there'll be some areas here picking up some badly needed moisture in parts of east central Wyoming and western Nebraska. That'll be good moisture. We'll take it. There you can see if we convert it to snow between now and Friday, looking like that. Across the nation, you can see along the Arctic boundary where their snow is going to be. More snow for the Great Lakes. Could have some significant snow in parts of the northeastern United States before the week's over. Now the good news. Here comes the warm-up. This is by Saturday. The flow now is west to east across the nation. So you're having an air mass change. No more Arctic. You're going to now have Pacific. And this will go several days, maybe a week. So what will happen is the Arctic air will be replaced by Pacific air. So we're going to get a thaw. So we just have to kind of get ourselves through the next 4 to 5 days here. Then temperatures will thaw. With this warmer pattern, also not a lot of precipitation chances either. So you're going to see a nice little break developing. This is by Tuesday. Now we have a couple of Pacific waves that'll go along the northern tier of the U.S., but this is not a pattern that will unleash the Arctic. So the Arctic is going to retreat. Pacific takes over. We get a break in the weather pattern, really for a lot of you on Friday, but more noticeable by this weekend, and probably going maybe to the next weekend. We'll see, because when we get further out, we're going to see the pattern change right at the beginning of March. So we're going to go from temperature anomalies like this late Wednesday of this week to Wednesday of next week, a temperature anomaly that looks like this. So you can see what happens when the Pacific takes over. So there will be relief coming. By the 1st of March, we start a wave train. This is when things start to get more busy. We'll start to see these stronger fronts come and form in the northern Pacific that want to come into western North America. So once we get into the first week or two of March, do expect colder temperatures to return, higher chances of snowfall. Doesn't necessarily mean we're going to have a repeat performance of Arctic. Probably not, but we will get colder and more active again after we catch a bit of a break. Have yourself a great Monday. Stay warm. We'll see you tomorrow.